Oh, welcome in. It's time for the early wedge. I'm Rick Gehman, and that right there is Jason Sobel. He is my teammate for this evening, and we are recapping the first two rounds of the Zurich Classic, the team event, and getting you set up for the weekend. Hello, Jason.
Hello, Rick. How you doing? I love the fact that you set it up as us being teammates because that's the theme of the week, of course. Well done.
Of course. Yeah, I did not have to make much of a stretch for that one. And we have, as they say, a logjam, because basically every team that has made the cut is still in play. Two very different rounds, round one to round two, best ball to alternate shot, 6.5 stroke scoring average. It has been fireworks at TPC Louisiana.
So usually the question that we ask pretty quickly off the bat in this Friday show is how far back is too far back?
Yeah.
I think some of the guys going home still have a chance of winning this thing. They're only 7 shots back. The guys that were 9 under, the Fitzpatricks broke 70 in both best ball and alternate shot. They've got plane tickets home and they're not playing the weekend. And I don't think they're out of it. I mean, like, honestly, if they let them come back, you can make up 7 shots in these two formats. So yes, everyone who's going to play the weekend is very much still in the mix.
Yeah, well, let's get you updated on some of the action of how we got here. I'll start with the Hojgaard twins, Nikolai and Rasmus. They went out on Thursday and shot a 59 that tied the tournament scoring record, and it lasted 90 minutes before another group got in there. They followed that 59 up on Thursday with a Friday 70. That is 2 under par. Very solid indeed. They are 2 shots off the lead, both of them looking for that first PGA Tour victory.
Yeah, and it could have, should have, would have been much better. I mean, they could be at 20 under right now with a 4-shot lead, 3-shot lead, but they couldn't make any putts. They had a bunch of really good looks. Ball striking's been fantastic. I know it's tough because we don't have strokes gain data this week. There's really nothing to look at unless maybe, Rick, you've got it in your database there this week, but it's kind of tough to come by and try to figure out who's playing the best golf and who's striking the ball well. But just from watching, it looks like the tee to green, the Hojgaards are playing as well as anybody so far. It's just tough getting the ball in the hole this week for these guys.
Yeah, a lot of missed putts, short-ish, medium putts, a lot of opportunities for the Hojgaards. Their tied tournament record was off the record books within 2 hours when Isaiah Salinda and Kevin Velo shot a 58 with a 5 on the par 5. I mean, they left a couple out there. They turned in 26 and left a couple of out there. They followed it up with a 69 on Friday, and they enter the weekend 1 shot clear of everybody else. This is their 20th combined start, 19 combined starts for these two on the PGA Tour before this week.
So, Rick, I'd like to count up all the teams in the top 10 right now that I don't know about you, but I didn't hear mentioned at all going into this. And I listened to a decent amount of people in the betting industry. Salinda Velo, certainly at the top of that list. I heard them a little bit for first round leaders. And we had someone tweet us yesterday that I think Sia might have mentioned them and somebody had a nice hit on them for first round lead, but I'm not sure anyone was necessarily playing them outright. David Skins and Ben Taylor tied for 5th place. Not a peep about them. David Lipsky, Dylan Wu, Chris Gotterup, Quade Cummins, maybe just a little bit of talk there, but not much. Not a whole lot on Jake Knapp and Frankie Sappin. Frankie Sappin played great on the Korn Ferry Tour last year. I thought he was going to be a really good rookie. He's done virtually nothing. I mentioned Trey Mullinax and Robbie Shelton coming into the week, but I didn't think they would seriously contend for this thing. Not a lot on Chris Ventura and Antoine Rosner either. I mean, that's a whole lot of teams up near the top of this leaderboard that really no one expected to be there.
And a lot of guys, not all of the ones that you mentioned, looking to break through for that first victory. They might be rookies. There's just a lot on the line over the course of the next 2 days. We've got 2/3 of the podium recapped. Let's get you that team sitting right on the middle spot. Solo second is Andrew Novak and Ben Griffin. Now, these are names that we might have, you might have heard of leading into this event because Andrew Novak has been on an unbelievable run. He was 5 under through 5 holes himself, his own golf ball on Thursday. Ben Griffin then started to pick it up after that, and these guys went 62, 66. Novak has been in the mix constantly this year, Jason. Ben Griffin seems like a really good partner for him as these two try to cross the finish line.
So until a few minutes ago when Salinda and Velo finished, they were the clubhouse leaders They were also the clubhouse leaders in best interview, at least as far as I've heard so far. I just got done hosting the post-game show on SiriusXM's PGA Tour radio channel, and our guy Mayan Patel interviewed them after the round, and they were fantastic. He asked, how did you guys get together as partners? And Novak said, well, we play a lot of golf together at Sea Island, and we usually beat whoever we play, so we figured, why not do it in a PGA Tour event? Sounds like the right answer to me, as opposed to some of these guys who are like, well, my agent knows his agent, and they put us together. My wife's friends with his wife. They wanted to hang out together. No, it's like, we usually play, we usually win money, we usually do well together. That's a really good reason to play together. Ben Griffin was asked, like, oh, what do you do after the round? They finished early. You guys going out to a nice dinner? He goes, nah, we're going to go grind, maybe play another 18 holes, really work on things. No, I'm kidding. Of course, yeah, we're going to go out to dinner. Yeah, we're going to do something fun. I just like their vibe this week. They're having a good time. They're sort of in this nice sweet spot where, okay, they're not PGA Tour winners who are kind of like, we're just here to have fun and have a good time. Like, this would mean a lot to their career trajectories to go out and each win for the first time. But they're also not like some of the names we mentioned who are on the leaderboard where they're like, we're fighting to keep our cards. Like, we need these FedEx Cup points to move up the list and just keep our cards for next year. So they're in this nice little situation where they're hungry enough to go out and win, but not so thirsty that they have to go out and they're worried about what could happen if they don't go out and play well the next couple of days.
Yeah, no, well said. So we've got Salinda and Velo alone in first. We've got Novak and Griffin alone in second. The Hojgaards alone in third. Bridgman and Phillips alone in fourth. And then this is where they start piling up. 2 teams at 13 under. That is T5. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams at 12 under. And then everybody else at 11 or 10 under. The notables that will not be around for the weekend include the Fitzpatrick brothers. It includes Wyndham Clark and Taylor Moore. It also includes Kurt Kitayama and Colin Morikawa. After an opening 61, they shot a 75. That is 3 over on Friday. You mentioned it earlier, Jason. It is hard to tell who's playing better than the partner or worse than the partner. Mm-hmm. What is the state of the union on Colin Morikawa as we head to the PGA Championship in just a couple of weeks?
Look, I like Colin Morikawa's game still. I still think that he's trending in the right direction. The last 12 to 18 months, his ball striking has been as good, if not better, than anybody not named Scotty Scheffler or Rory McIlroy. I still think good things are coming. If the performance is there, the results are going to come. He's going to get a trophy at some point. I don't know if it's going to be one of those big trophies that he wants to win or something smaller, but I still think better things are coming from Colin Morikawa. But man, this is a weird one, but I also I don't give you any demerits for this. To me, for the better players in the field, for the Rory McIlroys and Shane Lowrys and Colin Morikawas, this is like an extra credit assignment. Like, you can only improve your grade, but you can't go backwards. And so if you've got an 85 average in the class and you miss the cut at the Zurich, we're not knocking that down to an 80. You keep the 85. If you got 85 average and you go win, we might bump you up to an A+, but that remains to be seen for some of these guys. So I don't take much away from Colin Morikawa. I'm still bullish on him moving forward, but man, it's been more than a year and a half, Rick, since that last victory.
Oh, I know it has, and he's been close. We're looking at the results for 2025 here. Josh has got them on the screen. I mean, it's a lot of really good play, except for that horrible Saturday that he had. I think it was Saturday at RBC Heritage, and then, of course, this event where I tend to agree with you. Hard to place blame on any one guy especially in a really weird format. So we'll be interested to see, and definitely keeping an eye on Colin as we get to a signature event at the Truist, which I presume he's going to play, and then, of course, the PGA Championship. I want to look towards the odds board. The way the odds have rolled out for the outright is very interesting, especially with so many teams that are still viable with 2 rounds to go and 2 very different rounds to go. We are going to look through that board after a quick word from our partners.
One of golf's elite courses, Quail Hollow, hosts the game's top players at the PGA Championship this May on CBS.
All right, Jason, we've got 4 teams in single digits. So we've got the Novak Griffin group at 280, so 2.8 to 1. The Hojgaards at 4.5 to 1. Salinda and Velo, our current leaders, are 5 to 1. And then our defending champions, Shane Lowry and Rory McIlroy, are 8.5 to 1. that is it. Okay. Well, or at least let's start there at the top of the board. If there is a click to make tonight, what does that look like for you?
If I have to take somebody in single digits, it's probably Rory and Shane. I think they come back tomorrow with a really good score. Shane is not playing well right now. Shane's not played his best golf over the first 2 days. Rory has essentially carried them through the first couple of days. Rory chunked a couple of wedge shots. They should be at least 2, if not 3 shots higher on the leaderboard than they are right now. I expect Rory to go out and throw up a number just on his own ball, throw up a 64, something like that tomorrow. And as they've mentioned throughout the week, they're 2 really good players. They're 2 of the best players in the field. They should be better in alternate shot than just about everybody else. And so they can catch up if they're 3 or 4 shots back going into Sunday. So if I'm picking one of those top 4 teams right now with those numbers next to them, it's Rory and Shane. I do like Griffin and Novak, but there's too many variables, too much volatility for me to jump at the top of that board. Are you taking them at 3-1 or no?
I like them a lot, but I would wait one more round.
Yeah.
There is a lot that can happen between now and Sunday night. This is not your normal PGA Tour event where already a lot of things can happen. So I would be hard pressed to be clicking the favorite right now, especially for 2 guys that haven't ever won on the PGA Tour. I like them a lot, but I don't think it can get that much shorter if they go out and have a really good Saturday. And then, if you're clicking Griffin and Novak right now and you get that Rory Lowry Saturday that you anticipate, you're not going to feel very good this time tomorrow night. So I would wait there. I would probably wait on the entire top of the board. The Hojgaards are interesting. I mean, we mentioned it. If we had the strokes gained putting numbers, I think it would be miserable for guys that, like you said, JC, they could be at 20 under par right now.
They should be. And quite frankly, I'm not sure. And I didn't see much of their round. Their round was early today. But yesterday, Andrew Novak essentially carried Ben Griffin. So I'm looking for the teams where both guys are equally putting in their worth. And so I don't know that Ben Griffin is necessarily carrying his share of the weight right now. It's been mostly Andrew Novak, and you can get into trouble just kind of relying on one player, especially when you get to Sunday back in that alternate shot. Obviously, Griffin played. He had to play at least pretty decent today for them to shoot 66 with just 1 bogey and 7 birdies. But I still think Novak's doing a little bit more of the share of the work. And so, it's too short a number for me to jump on there. I look at a team, and I have a feeling you're going to be with me on this because you and I were on HQ together on Wednesday evening, you brought up the team of Aaron Ryan, Sahith Theegala. How about the fact that they were 25-1 coming in? They played very well in the first round. They were 25-1 last night. They played very well again. They're 5 shots back, and they're still at 25-1. The odds makers are basically telling us, we're giving them to you at the same number. You can get them 5 shots back just where they were 48 hours ago. I think if you haven't jumped on yet, I would jump on them at a really nice number.
I agree with you. There's a couple of things here. I think this is a great pairing for Sahith. The frustrations that he's had in 2025 seems to be in much better spirits this week. He's making some every putt he hits either goes in or looks like it's going to go in until the very last second. I've liked the way that these 2 have played. The other thing that I think is interesting here is they're at 12 under. That 12 under pack, yes, they are 5 shots off the lead, which is a lot, but there's not a lot of teams there, right? To go from 11 to the top of the board, it's only 1 more shot, but you've got to pass 9 more teams. We have 1 team at 17 under, 1 team at 16 under, 1 team at 15, and 1 team at 14, right? Yeah. You don't have to pass a lot of guys. So that 12 under group, I think, is ripe for somebody to make a move out of it.
Yeah, I think so too. And look, as we saw from yesterday to today, look what the leaderboard looks like. I mean, other than Velo and Salinda on top, this is a completely different leaderboard than we had 24 hours ago. And I would expect that if we were sitting here 24 hours from now, it's going to look completely different than it does now. There's just a lot of things that change. Like I said, a lot of volatility, a lot of variables. And I would, as much as I like, just like you said, as much as I like Novak and Griffin, it's just too short a number for me to jump at just because they're up there near the lead. They're 2 of the better players here. I'm looking to get some value further down the board.
Yeah, and everyone is quite long outside the top 5 teams. So we mentioned the 4 who are 8-1 or shorter. Bridgman and Phillips are 12-1. Then everybody else is 22 or 25 or longer. I'll hit you with a couple of notables and see if I can find something to tickle your fancy here. We've got the Dietrich McIntyre group. They're at 30-1. Nick Taylor and Adam Hadwin are 30. JT Poston and Keith Mitchell got in on the number. They're 55-1. Firepower of Thor Bjornsson and Phillips at 100-1. Is there anything? I mean, how realistic are any of these options?
Quite honestly, I was hoping for a bigger number on Poston and Mitchell. I hadn't gone that far down the board. 55's probably not enough for me to do it. I might look at some of these teams that are 80-1 and bigger. Mullinax, Shelton, maybe. Cam Davis, Adam Svensson, Echeverria and Gracerman can both get hot and make a lot of birdies. I can see them doing well. They're 100-1. Again, none of these are like my surefire lock of the weekend or anything like that. But if you're just looking to sprinkle a few in a board that could absolutely flip upside down, and remember, we saw easier conditions in the morning each of the first 2 days. I would expect that to continue tomorrow as well. So the guys who are, okay, they just made the cut on the number, but they're only 7 shots back, and they're playing a best ball format where you can go out and shoot a sub 60 number. But I think that sub 60 number is coming in the morning, not in the afternoon, if it does happen. So these guys can get back in this thing in a hurry. So I don't mind playing the guys who got in on the number who are at 10 under right now, but I've got to get something close to triple digits if I'm going to do it. 55-1 for Poston and Mitchell is not going to get me interested.
Yeah, producer Josh makes a really good point here. That Canadian group, Hadwin and Taylor, I believe, I'm scrolling through, they are one of 2 teams that have made the cut and shot the same score or better in round 2, alternate shot, than in best ball. The other team was Ramey and Lauer. They shot 67-67. So Taylor and Hadwin went 66-66. So a bogey-free 6 under 66 in alternate shot. They could conceivably go quite low in the best ball format.
I've got a good note for you on both of these teams. So first of all, Ramey played with Martin Trainer last year. Remember they got into a playoff?
Yes.
They shot 63 in alternate shot on Sunday. So something about that format for Ramey seems to click. You're right. Hadwin and Taylor, 66 yesterday, 66 today. I went back and looked. When they were runners up just a few years ago, they went 66 in the first round best ball, 67 alternate shot, 64 best ball, 63 alternate shot. So they've done this before as well. They're almost better as an alternate shot team, not just like in comparison, but like shoot better scores in alternate shot than best ball, which makes absolutely no sense, but they just team up in that format really well. Like
literal lower numbers, not relative to the field, literal count the strokes. Wow. Okay. I like that. I'm being talked into a little bit of Canadian weekend action. Okay. I can handle that. All right. Odds aside, Jason, odds aside.
Yeah.
Who you like what's the most interesting team to watch tomorrow? What is going to capture your attention on Saturday?
I mean, can I just go chalk on my favorite team to watch and say Rory and Shane?
Sure.
Like I said, I think Rory goes out and shoots a number in the low 60s on his own ball. If Shane maybe throws in a couple of birdies that Rory doesn't make, I think those guys shoot 12 under in the best ball format and could be right there nipping at the heels of the leaders come end of day tomorrow.
We were talking earlier, I believe it was on the Monday show, Jason, with Sia and Mike, about Bud Cauley probably being better off playing his own ball. We were almost right. Kevin Tway made 1 birdie that contributed to his team on Thursday. Mm-hmm. They made the cut. They're in at 10 under. So shouts to Bud Cauley. We'll be keeping an eye on him as the rest of the week rolls on, or the rest of the season rolls on.
I do want to give you one team, and this is a team that I mentioned that I have an outright on in our Tuesday show on the early wedge. Sam Stevens and Max McGreevy. We've got an Oklahoma State Cowboy and an Oklahoma Sooner playing together, which is just fun in the first place. In best ball yesterday, they both made 6 birdies. And Rick, that's kind of what I'm talking about, is the teams that aren't like relying heavily on one of the players over the other. It's not, well, Rory's playing really well because he always plays well, and Shane's just kind of sputtering along and helping out here and there. It's not Andrew Novak's playing really well, and here's a little Ben Griffin kind of mixed in. It's Stevens and McGreevy kind of equally doing the lifting, And those are usually the teams that I like in this format because both guys are chipping in and doing their part.
It's the live bet show on Sunday, right before the final group tees off. We'll be right back at it on the early wedge. But for now, just buckle up because this weekend is going to be absolutely crazy. Producer Josh is doing all the hard work behind the scenes. That right there is Jason Sobel. I'm Rick Gehman. This has been the early wedge. We'll catch you next time.